Hello, I'm Robert and welcome to my channel where I talk about everything automated algorithmic trading. We're going to pick up where we've been discussing the experiment over the last week for forward testing. And that is what you are looking at on the screen is the history of those tests. It actually turned out to be quite surprising and unbelievable, to be honest. So let's get straight into the numbers and talk about what we really have. What you are looking at here is 166 trades in 5 days. That's impressive. It did an incredible job at being able to actually handle that many trades. But let's get into the real numbers here. Of that 166 trades, 144 of them were winning trades. 22 of them were losing trades, or a win rate of 86% versus a loss rate of 13%. So with that situation, we should see some serious profits. So let's actually get into that and look at what that even entails. Now I've made some modifications to the program so that we could see directly loss versus profit, and on the far right of the table we see the actual amount of time the position was held open. And this really is interesting. It's real interesting how this looks. So as you can see here, the minus number for the third column is the running balance. And in the second column, like 145, that is the loss or profit of this simulated trade. Now what we see is, of course, what we already knew. When you have a small take profit and a large stop loss, you feel the stop loss a lot. And that is exactly what happened here. Every stop loss hurt. And the market just really wasn't that great over the last week. The back test, the market was wonderful. But let's get down to the bottom line. This account right now, even with 86% win rate and 144 winning trades, is $1,077 underwater. It lost $1,077. That hurts. But the reality is that is the kind of situation you have when you have a moving market. Some weeks, like the week of the back test, are going to be absolute gold. Some weeks, you're going to take 22 losses and they're going to sting like the dickens. But that doesn't invalidate the process. In fact, we have information here that really brings home something critically important. Something in terms of the process itself that we can now use to help us make it better. And this really isn't just this process, but any process we're working with. We basically have two different ideologies we can work with. The first one is to mirror the back test in that we hold the trade for exactly 1 minute or 1 hour or whatever context we're trading in. Since you always have the risk of the trade being worse off or better than just getting out exactly when your stop loss or take profit are triggered. That is one approach, and a common approach that platforms like TradingView use, where they actually hold the trade for the duration of the time frame no matter what. That's a realistic approach that is a very popular approach. and that's one that the backtest used. But there is another approach that I'm going to talk about that is quite interesting and also more likely to be beneficial. So let's take a look at this table with a slightly different variation. Let's look at all of the losses only. So here we have all the losses, every single one of them, all 22 of them. And we can see they hurt. They're huge. But in this table, we have some very interesting information. We have some critical details we need to look at. Looking at the losses and the duration, something really stands out that's very interesting. All of the losses have a pattern, with the exception of very few of them. And that is, most of the losses are above 1 hour. So that becomes an interesting pivot point that we need to look at. This one lasted 17 hours. Now there's something that can be said about the markets during these periods, and that is they simply aren't that great to begin with. So the approach that we should look at, knowing this information, is to go to our profits and find out how long our profits are held before they are cleared. Meaning, how long does it take realistically for a trade to be profitable? So let's do that next. Let's look at our profits. Of course, it'd help if I spell right. And here we see, through looking at these numbers, all 144 trades, most of them happen under 1 hour. We have a few that take over an hour, but the vast majority happen under an hour. And of course, we have a few outliers that are just insane. So what if we filtered out trades after an hour? Meaning, if we hold on to a trade for 1 hour, we just close it out no matter what. Well, that is what I think we need to explore next. We already know we have an insane win rate. Now we just need to figure out how to mitigate the risk. So by focusing on the average level of stop losses versus the average level of take profits, the outliers for the take profits are going to be significantly smaller than the outliers for the stop losses. For example, we took 22 stop losses, but if we take out every stop loss above 1 hour, it could still be potentially a loss, but it's not going to be anywhere near as drastic. And the flip side of that is it might still be profitable, just not enough to hit our take profit level. So we can see quite a few of them are going to be affected. "12 stop losses are going to be affected by this approach." Now realistically, we know the market sucks during these periods. 17 hours of a bad market just to lead to a loss. We know it sucks because we didn't make a profit. So the thing about this is we don't want to get back into the market once we close it. We want to wait for the market to either hit a take profit or a stop loss. But because we got out of it after an hour, this is 16 hours of hell that we're not going to have to go through, trying to figure out whether or not the trade is going to work or fail. So we have a process, we have a method, we have a mechanism of mitigating risk. And that's going to be the process that we're going to test next week, since we already know a win rate of 86% is possible with forward testing. Now we just need to mitigate the losses and take less of them. So by getting out early and then waiting for the market to clean itself up, we stand a better chance of actually doing better. So we have the process now. We have the information. We have the confirmation that the back test is actually correct. Now we fine-tune and hone the approach. As you can see, algo trading is a step-by-step process of analyzing, examining, and evaluating data, both historically and real time. And by taking the correlations between them both, we can find a process by which will give us a reasonable level of profits. And we already know that a 1 week period can bring 150 plus trades. So we have more than enough information to make a reasonable assessment within our testing process. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. This is why you use a demo account, because this is the kind of information that can really take your trading to the next level. By understanding the market, by understanding the data you're looking at, and by understanding how to use that data. This is one of the biggest downfalls that I find within the cryptocurrency market, as the exchanges don't provide very good sandboxes or test nets. This is why I use the Oanda platform the most, because I can really test out an idea, then once I know it works, I can modify it for the cryptocurrency markets. And that is also my next step. I've got 5 different exchanges where I've tested BTC. So now I need to forward test using the same model, actually being able to see how well it works. And the thing of it is I know this practice works over time, because I actually used it and have used it for 7 months straight. I use it in my grid bot, and that really is the process of how it moves in and out of the market. That is, I use a small take profit with a large stop loss. And the goal is just to mitigate how often the stop loss does occur. You can't avoid it, but you take as few as possible. So that is going to be the next steps. We are going to really take a look at this in a whole different level and take this to the next step. So I hope you've liked this video and the fact that this experiment has led to such an interesting profile of data. Give this video a like. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd like to hear your opinion of what you think of a small take profit, large stop loss. And also, what other kind of experiments would you like to see this done with? Maybe a 2-to-1 ratio, and see how the market bears out forward testing? Let me know. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because it really helps me out. Until next time.